Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. Today I was thinking about Nick Herbig. What a great player he is. He kind of reminds me of Greg Lloyd from back in the day. Not the biggest guy, but he can twist and move, and he's super explosive, and he's always making the big plays. And I don't want to see Nick Herbig just rotated in when TJ Watt or Alex Highsmith are tired. It doesn't have to be a 4-3 defense. You could just leave it the same, the defense, but call it the elephant position. I like to call it the predator. Pete Carroll used it at USC when he had Clay Matthews to get him on the field. And the only reason why this type of defense will work is because we have Peyton Wilson, who's super athletic, who can run, who can cover, who can pass rush. He can do everything. He's 6'4". He runs a 4.4 40. He's big. He can play the run. He can do it all. But my point being is this. Do I think that Peyton Wilson is athletic enough to put him at slot corner to get Nick Herbig on the field all the time? Yes, I do. See, I think that Peyton Wilson is better than any slot corner that we have on our team covering the third receiver in the slot. If you bring Peyton Wilson onto the field and he's covering the third receiver, if the offense decides to run, he's still on the field to stop the run with Patrick Queen and Nick Herbig. Now, Nick Herbig will always be rushing the passer no matter what. He will always be setting that edge or rushing the passer, and you can move him around the entire time. The defense will never know where he is. You could even do that with TJ Watt if you wanted to. You could put Nick Herbig at his spot and let TJ Watt move all over the place. My point being is Nick Herbig is too good to be on the bench for majority of the snaps. And if it wasn't for Peyton Wilson, we couldn't pull this defense off. So whether you want to call it a 4-3 defense, whether you want to call it a predator defense, whether you want to call it an elephant defense like Coach Carroll did, I mean, you still got the 4 down linemen. You still got the 2 linebackers. The only difference is if a 3 receiver set comes out, Peyton Wilson will now be the slot corner. And you're going to say, oh, that's stupid. That's insane. No, it's not. Because when you look at how athletic Peyton Wilson is, he can pull it off. And this will allow Nick Herbig to be on the field for a majority of the snaps. He's way too good to be sitting on the bench that long. And it also helps in our run game because, again, let's just say the defense thinks it's a passing down and the offense decides to run. Now you got Peyton Wilson on the field. Now you got Nick Herbig on the field. Now you got Patrick Queen on the field. Now, I didn't think that Patrick Queen played very well last year. In the biggest moments, he didn't play well, just like Pat Freiermuth. He had a decent season, but in the biggest moments, he didn't play well at all. Patrick Queen was in the same situation. He had good stats. He had good numbers. But when the Steelers needed him the most in the playoff game, I know he was sick and you hear, all types of rumors. He didn't play well in the biggest games. Peyton Wilson is a major chess piece to this game. He's so versatile that it allows the entire defense to do different things. You could do so many different things because of Peyton Wilson's versatility. Nick Herbig needs to be on the field. I would rather have more pass rushers on the field. You have Nick Herbig, you have TJ Watt, you have Alex Highsmith, even Cam Hayward. He's going to be over 100 sacks in his career from the nose tackle position. And having more pass rushers is the most important thing on defense in the NFL. Hands down. So, I mean, even if you didn't want to put Peyton Wilson on the slot corner and just bring in Beanie Bishop, it's fine. But I think that Peyton Wilson is a better athlete and a better football player than all of our slot corners. And I'm always going to side with, I want to get the best 11 on the field at all times. And I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing that. Again, I don't want to see Nick Herbig just come in to spell guys. I want him on the field all the time. And he can cover too. He can cover in the flat. I don't think he's as athletic as Peyton Wilson. Peyton Wilson is a different breed of athlete. He can run with these receivers 30, 40 yards down the field and beat all over them. His length, his aggression, every time he gets to the ball, he's getting there in a bad mood. I absolutely love Peyton Wilson. I know he's going to have a bigger role this year. A lot of people are worried about him stopping the run. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. I never have been. But I think he's more just like Jack Lambert back in the day. Jack Lambert in the passing game was an absolute monster in the middle of the field because of that tall, big frame. And Peyton Wilson has that tall, big frame. He's more explosive. He's faster. And that length, he can do it all. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers really need, everybody always complains and Coach Tomlin gets criticized and people are taking shots at Coach Tomlin all the time for the Pittsburgh Steelers never change up anything on defense. And this one new wrinkle, this one change where we have a predator or an elephant position where there's a pass rusher that nobody knows where he's going to be. Every play, he could be somewhere else. And then you have the addition of Peyton Wilson on the field because you're going to hear a lot of people say, well, if they did that, they'd be vulnerable in the run. Peyton Wilson can play that slot corner. And if the offense decides to run, he's still in the running game. I know the Pittsburgh Steelers can pull this off if they want to. The coaching staff keeps talking about Nick Herbig getting on the field more. And even if the Pittsburgh Steelers came out in a base 4-3, where you had Peyton Wilson, Nick Herbig, and Patrick Queen as your three linebackers, those guys can run and cover. Nick Herbig and Peyton Wilson can run and cover. You're not going to be exposed. The nickelbacks, the inside corners that the Steelers have, it's not like they're complete studs. Yeah, they're good players. I want the best 11 on the field at all times. Nick Herbig needs to get on the field. Also, Rod Woodson came out yesterday and thinks Steelers should break precedent for TJ Watt's contract. The Steelers, when you have an existing contract, they normally don't tear it up and redo another contract for you. Woodson said Wednesday on Up and Adams with Kay Adams. But what I would say to the Steelers is times are changing. When you have a guy like TJ Watt, you want to keep him happy because not only is he a leader on the field and off the field, but you're showing the rest of the players in the locker room how you treat your best players, especially in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's one of the best players to play at that position in the history of the Steelers. I think you do something a little bit different. Normally, they don't tear those contracts up and redo them, but I think you really should really hardly think about it. He should be one of the highest paid players at his position, if not the highest paid player at his position. And I absolutely agree with this. I understand the Steelers have the Steeler way, and I'm all for it. I'm all for honoring the tradition all the time, but things are changing. And to keep your best players around and not to cause animosity, you have to, like the Philadelphia Eagles, they went to all their star players who were doing it the right way on and off the field. And I hate using them as a comparison because I can't stand the Philadelphia Eagles or their fans. And they redid all of their stars' contracts. And it makes the other players in the locker room say, well, look, man, if I do the right thing, they're going to take care of me too. If you're in the Steelers locker room and you start looking around, you're like, man, if they'll do TJ Watt dirty like that, I'm just a bump on the road. I'm just roadkill on the side of the road. Art Rooney always wants to be an innovator and he always wants to do things the classy way. Well, it's time to change the way you do things. It's time to start showing appreciation for the Pittsburgh Steelers players that lay it all on the line for you every single week, who change the culture of your team, who are legends. TJ Watt is a legend. He's not just some other player. You know the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get TJ Watt's contract done, but it's just not a good look, and it doesn't send a good message to the locker room. After I was thinking about Nick Herbig today, I went on to read this article, which I was kind of surprised. Steelers outside linebacker coach on Nick Herbig wanted to get him on the field as much as we can. I agree. He should be. He's the type of guy that's ready for whatever you get him. Outside linebacker coach Denzel Martin said on Herbig via the team's media department, we obviously want to get him on the field as much as we can. We've got really two good guys in front of him, as you guys know. So the more we can get that guy on the field, he's just a good changeup for when we get out there amongst all the other rushers that we have. So the more we can get him out there, the better. I completely disagree with this take. I don't think he needs to be a changeup. You have Peyton Wilson. If you're worried about the run, you got Peyton Wilson. He can go out there on the third receiver. Nick Herbig, he can set that. You always want to rush him. Patrick Queen's going to have to pick up his game, but he needs to be on. You're not going to tell me that any of the third, fourth, or fifth corners are better than Nick Herbig or Peyton Wilson. They're not. None of them are. I would go as far to say not even our second corner is better than those players. It's all about getting the best 11 on the field. Come on, Coach Tomlin. Let's give Dick LeBeau a call. Let him figure this thing out. It's time to copy Pete Carroll's, at his USC days with Clay Matthews. The same way that USC used Clay Matthews is the same way that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to use Nick Herbig. Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.